Italy is relatively a young country. In fact, it became a nation-state in 1861. Its cuisine, on the contrary, has developed through a century of social and economic changes. What we call Italian cuisine today is a mosaic of culinary experiences that emerge over time through an exchange of information and techniques among geographical regions and social classes. The great variety of Italian culinary experiences reflects a long history dominated by regionalism and political division, and leads to the common conception of Italian food as a mosaic of regional traditions rather than a single culture. The culinary history of Italy is deeply indebted to cross-cultural currents of people and societies from over 3,000 years of history that slowly defined the Italian peninsula as a geographical, political, and cultural entity. The variety and richness of Italian gastronomy is the result of years of history of colonization and occupation. Italy's cuisine is primarily the result of ages of influence by other cuisines. This is what makes Italian cuisine unique in the world. We have a little knowledge of what Italy was until the 12th century BC. We know that Italy then was inhabited by a wave of migratory people collectively known under the name Italici. They based their subsistence on traveling herding called transumanza, a seasonal movement of people with their livestock between fixed summer and winter pastures, a phenomenon that was visible in Italy till 1970. The Etruscans probably arrived around the 11th century BC on the shores of what is today called Tuscany. They introduced agriculture and were the first in Italy to use crop rotation. One year they would plant the field with grains, the following year with pulse or grass for animals. When the Phoenicians arrived at the Italian shores around 1000 BC, they were the first to open up the maritime commerce. Before the Greeks, they came in the south of Italy, where they exported figs, pistachios, dates, and almonds. They also introduced olive oil and wine, elements that are still the essence of Italian cuisine. Then, in 8th century BC, the Greeks arrived in the south of Italy to found their colonies. They brought not only advanced techniques to grow olives and grapes, but also their Hellenic civilizations, which was to leave a lasting imprint on Italy. In fact, the beginnings of Italian cuisine can be traced back to ancient Greece, both for the food itself and for the spirit of eating. For the ancient Greeks, and then for Roman people as well, food was not only ingredients and recipes, but it was also a pleasure and represented a central element of lifestyle. The ancient Greeks were the first to introduce in Italy the joy and pleasure of food. Still, an essential element in the Italian food experience and culture. Good food can only exist if combined with moments of joyful conviviality. Eating is for Italian people a sharing experience. The table is the place where to enjoy food, spending time with family and friends. For Italians, it is inconceivable to eat alone. Eat while sitting on the bus or subway. Eat while reading or listening to music. The action of eating deserves time and special cares. There is no good meal if it is not consumed according to the rules of living together. In Italy, food is a pleasure and an opportunity for socialization. The perfect moment to talk, share a laugh, establish relationships. While people around the world, especially in England and North America, developed family traditions based on home delivery or eating out, uncooked meals shared with the rest of the family remains a secret, irreplaceable event in Italy. Around the table, conviviality grows and relationships achieves their highest peaks. Eating together is a magical moment through which friendships turns into a rare form of intimacy. People talk about what happened during the day, they share their experiences. After the Greeks, the Romans, who extended their political power over North Africa, the Middle East, and all Europe, imported in Italy spices and ingredients from these lands. Elaborate and expensive food were for the first time well provided. Roast peacock, ostrich, and several other dishes became a symbol of abundance and symbol of economic power and social prestige. Times were ready for the first Western cookbook, De Re Coquinaria, written by Marcus Gavius Apicius around the 4th-5th century. Other people started to arrive in Italy from North Europe, Germany, France, around the 5th century. First were the Celts, who infiltrated the Po River plain and imported advanced technique for extracting salt from under the earth and using it to preserve food. Their salting ability, together with their passion for pigs, gave birth to one of the most prestigious culinary traditions in Italy, cured meat. Among the great variety of cured meat, prosciutto is for sure the best known all around the world. Several Italian regions have their variations of prosciutto, but the most famous are the prosciutto di San Daniele from the Friuli Venezia Giulia and the prosciutto di Parma from the Emilia Romagna, the place where initially the Celts settled. If the Romans were close to the Greeks and other Mediterranean populations in terms of food consumption, they were opposed to the Northern European people. In fact, the Roman civilization can be identified as the bread, wine, and oil civilization, while the North European as the meat, milk, and butter civilization. When the Roman Empire collapsed and barbarians started to invade the north of Italy, they brought with them their culinary habits. The result of this phenomenon is still visible today. In fact, compared to the people from the south of Italy, those who live in the north still tend to use more butter than oil, eat more meat than fish, and drink more beer than wine. The spread of Italian food diversity began after the fall of the Roman Empire. 476 AD, when the Italian cities began to grow as a separate entities and to develop unique identities and traditions. Each town, region started to display its own specific way of cooking under the influences of different foreign domination that ruled Italian areas. The Italian regional cuisine still shows the heritage of other cuisines. In Piedmont, close to the French border, and for a long time under the French domination, for example, butter and cheese became the most used ingredient. In Lombardy, the famous cotoletta alla milanese, a veal cutlet buttered in eggs and breadcrumbs, then fried in butter, it is very similar to the Austrian schnitzel. Not to mention the Aperol Spritz, the famous cocktail enjoyed in large part of the Italian Northeast. This drink originated from the Austrian habit of mixing the local wine with soda water during their domination of Veneto in the 19th century, because they found wine too strong for their palate, and so decided to mix it with water. The early medieval Arab domination of the south of the peninsula left Italy with culinary influences that helped to create some of the most typical Italian dishes in the world. Everyone knows that cannoli and cassata probably originate in some Sicilian sultan castle, and you may be aware of the fact that even gelato may have Arab origins. Indeed, the Arabs of the Middle Ages brought to Sicily rice, oranges, and pears, all central ingredients in local Sicilian cuisine today.